going to go ahead and get started. For those we have a couple repeat customers in here, and so if you've been to one of these workshops before, please know it's just about the same thing. You know, we get a little bit better at it every time, and so we might have a couple of new tidbits to share with you, but most of the information will be the same. Coming up in December, we'll be starting Series 2 of our IB Parent Workshops, which will have sort of a sneak peek into our curriculum, where we'll crack open the doors of our classroom a little bit and share with you some of the activities and the questions that the kids are asking. We'll get into the teacher planning process, maybe a tiny bit about assessment, and sort of show you where we're going long term after that, which is part 2 of the series. This one is still part 1, which is really an introduction to the IB. We'll talk about what the IB program models are, what you can expect with changes to our curriculum, and how we'll go from there. Hi, come on in. All right, so in true IB fashion, we're going to start with a little bit of candy here. Yeah. If you've been here before, the candy's better. We've upgraded from the old Hershey Kisses. We're moving into like Twix. Wow.
So, you'll notice something as you investigate your piece of candy.
So we're going to separate you into 2 groups, and this is really to help facilitate some conversation for us. Just because we have a smaller group today, we've decided to only separate you into 2 groups. We've got green and pink, but we want to be a little bit flexible. This is also the first workshop that we're offering with Mandarin translation, and so I want to introduce Ming. Oh. Thank you. And so, is there anyone in here who would like to have some translation that would be helpful?
Yeah, I can do that.
So we've got a couple people. Maybe we want to organize by language, so we can have these conversations in 2 different languages. It's new for us, but we're very excited for you to be here.
Anybody interested in learning Mandarin? You can sit closer to.
If you've been here before, you want to test those morning chops, get your crossword muscles answered.
Do you want us to physically regroup?
Yeah, so before we regroup, let's do just a quick whip around with some short introductions. That way we all get to know each other. I know most of you know me very well. My name is Rebecca Lugo. I'm one of the assistant directors and the MYP coordinator here at Fairmont. I've been at Fairmont since 2007. I originally grew up back east in New York. I taught in New York and Florida before my husband and I decided we wanted to live in sunnier weather, and we just got in the car and drove west. We were very lucky to find Fairmont, and quite a few years later I have 2 boys that are both enrolled here at school. I have a kindergartner, which is in class with some of you, and a 3rd grader who is very excited about his musical tomorrow. We've been practicing Jingle Bell Rock nonstop at my house. And so as a parent, I couldn't be more impressed with the school, and I'm really the biggest fan of IB, and so I'm really excited to share that with you.
I'm Cody Nornberg. I have been here not quite as long as Becky, and I came from a little bit further east, from Europe specifically, about 2 months ago, so I'm pretty new. So if you're new, I think most of you are existing families, but I know how it feels to be new, but I came to support Becky and to support Fairmont with the transition to the IB program, but also to support everything else that makes Fairmont great. I'm learning very quickly how special the community is here. I've met so many wonderful people, and I also have children. I have a 2-year-old who was here this morning. She's not ready for Fairmont yet, but she comes every day with her backpack. It's probably as big as she is, and she's ready. She studies every day, and she does homework beside my 7-year-old, who's also here at Fairmont, and he loves it. The first day of school, we were a bit nervous because he was protesting the whole time before we got here, but the first day he came home, he said, "I love it here. This is the best school ever." So it's really reaffirming that comes not from me and not, it's genuine. So yeah, really thrilled to be here, and really thrilled to be with such a fantastic team and such a wonderful community of parents. So should we go around quickly? You want to just say introduction names, everybody? We're going to put you on the spot. You can't hide in the corners.
I'll start. My name is Karen Levin. I'm actually the admissions coordinator here with Fairmont. I've been with Fairmont on and off since 2003. raised my kids on the Anaheim Hills campus. They're now off, they're adults, graduating college, doing really great things. So I'm back here to tell everybody that not only is it great while you're going through it, successes continue later in life. So here's proof. Here's proof.
Hi, I'm Renee. I'm helping one family, one Chinese family. So his kids start in the 7th grade, so I'm helping that Chinese family to attack all the activities in school. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
我只会说中文，好像英语不太好。我是就是今年8月和我儿子来到美国的，我儿子今年7年级，第一次参加这样的，这不叫家长会，叫工作坊，我是来学习的。IB 呢，我是大概了解一点，因为我儿子以前在学校他们学校开 IB 的，小学的时候是。
That sounds beautiful.
So I can help her translate. So they just moved to California August this year. So her son going to the school in 7th grade. Then yeah, we have the same student. My student, I'm taking here a student, and they are in the same class. Yeah. So then she heard about the IB program. So she just wanted to know.
Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Catherine. I work in the business office. I'm the graphic designer. I also have one daughter who goes to 1st grade. So I'm here to learn more about her future program.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Glennie. I don't work here but it kind of seems like I do because I'm here.
Just an honorary member of our staff.
Yeah, so I have 3 kids here at Fairmont, and I'm really interested in learning in the IB program because I have no clue what that is. I hear about it, but I don't know what it is. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
I'm Caritha. I've been working at Fairmont. I work at the prep since 2005. I was hired 0506 that year, and I've worked in the IB program for the 11th and 12th grades. I was the coordinator there for about 6 years, and now I have children here. I have a preschooler who's 3, and then I have a 1st grader, and so they're in Cody's program, the PYP. So I'm excited to learn about it. But I'm also the coordinator tapped to bring the middle years program into the high school. So we have 11th and 12th grades who do the diploma program for IB, and now we'll have the 9th and 10th graders who will be continuing the program from the 8th grade here. So we're sort of bridging that gap at the high school, and that's my job. So I need to learn as much as I can.
And then your kids are enrolling in it.
And my kids are here, yeah.
I like that circle.
Yeah, it's a lot of personal meaning as well as professional. So yeah.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sammy, and I have kids in kindergarten. So we just started their school year, and try to learn how to involve the school and how to involve the IB program. So I want to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I think you're being very
My name is Linda. I'm self-employed. I had my daughter here 19 years ago, and now I'm back with my 5-year-old son who is currently in kindergarten.
Wow.
So there's a huge gap. But what you said is definitely true. The school has a great structure. My daughter wouldn't be where she's at in her career had she not had the strong foundation that she got here at Fairmont. So I'm a strong believer in this school. Honestly, it's got an amazing structure. So that's why we're back again 19 years later.
That's awesome. Well, I go next.
Hi everyone, I'm Ming. I'm academic counselor at the high school at the prep. I've been with Fairmont for 8-9 years. This is my 2nd session, so I am definitely going to be able to assist some of you with translation and whatnot. Yeah, pretty much it.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Ratnam. I work with Brenda at Ballard and Tide Publishers. We publish and create educational materials for English learners and assessments. And Brenda invited me thinking, yeah, and I'm glad she did because this is going to be interesting. It helps our development process for sure. Thank you for having me.
Interesting. Great group of people.
Alright, so I'm Brenda. I worked here at Fairmont for the past 10 years. I left in July to go to Ballard and Tide, which I'm doing sales now and love it. We have, my husband and I, we have a little one. She's 5 now, in pre-K. Oh, I'd have to think about that.
Correct.
Pre-K.
Verified.
Too long in preschool, sorry.
Right.
Pre-K, and she's loving everything, asking too many questions. Yeah. It's great education, so yeah. And I wanted him to learn that.
Yeah, my name is Marco. I'm Brenda's husband, and I have no clue either.
You two can
So
sit at the
I'm
same
very
table.
happy I'm with everyone. I was a little nervous about it.
Marco, Brad here.
So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm already so excited for this room. I love how excited you are to be here. Usually I have to pour extra coffee at this point, so thank you for your excitement and your energy. It makes it a lot more fun for us. For our families in the room, I promise we don't just invite employees, they just keep coming in. We have a lot of employees with children here at Fairmont, which is a great testament to the program of the school, and it's really nice when they also make some time out of their day to come in and learn more. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see if you would like to participate in a Mandarin discussion, if you want to learn Mandarin, if that's your more comfortable language, or if it's not, you just want to feel adventurous, take a little risk. Let's come to this table. If you'd like to have our discussion in English, we can move to this table.
How about Spanish?
Spanish?
Yes,
Okay, so we're going to sit together.
And then everybody else is on their own.
All right, where are you going? You're staying
I'll
here,
go
right?
Chinese.
I'm doing Chinese.
我的中文不太好。
Look at we both got
I'm-
cheese.
I'm-
This was not meant to be, I don't know.
Totally. Oh, all right. How funny.
Stay, you're fine. Enjoy. Learn.
No, no,
Yeah, you tell my way. You're the expert.
Okay, so I'm going to ask my table on the right. I love that you're equally balanced groups. Well done. I think I see a couple of greens over here, maybe. I'm going to ask my green table on this side. I'm going to rebrand you. You can keep the candy no matter what. If you could have a discussion with your table mates, think about your kids where they currently are in school. Many of them at this table are young. We have one middle schooler in the crowd. But think about your kids and pretend, project them forward into high school, beyond high school, moving into college as successful, wonderful adults. What do we need them to be able to do in order to be successful? So that's what I would like you to brainstorm and talk about together. This group over here, I'm going to call you my pink group. If you could think about your kids where they are now in school and have a conversation about what are the most important skills that we can teach them while they're with us. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to chat. I'll bring some Post-its if you want to take some notes, and then we'll regroup in a few minutes. Okay?
I understand. Can I get a pen? Because that's a lot of information that was talked about.
Oh, yes. You just tell me when
It's
to
difficult
stop.
to.
I've never done hard work.
They're already kind of.
Can I get another pen though?
就是在学校最重要的，不是课程，就是no important skills 就是重要的能力。
yellow 我们没有在做，因为平常是3个，人比较多的时候它分成3个，那因为今天人少，它只有分2个。他问题是你在读学生课程在教的那个课本上面所教的东西，你最喜欢、最希望的东西是什么课程？你已经听过刚刚所说的这个问题嘛？不需要我们谈的这个问题了。
我们他们聊不分。
对，我们讨论掉了。
I'm gonna do educational skills, what, physical skills, let's do physical.
There's no wrong answer. No wrong answer.
Okay. 最重要的独立 yeah okay
mine is 24 and she's gonna be 25 in February.
How could they be so old? You do like
We started early.
Impossible.
way taller because I'm an IB person and I think in categorizing. Okay, 规矩 is rules? No.
Discipline.
My daughter will
责任
around and find it
responsibility.
Yeah, and I think it's a brain thing. You don't know, it needs to be.
Oh no. 语言 is like compassion.
Yeah, I wondered too, I'm like, oh, this is a boy.
No, I thought a girl.
领导力
合作 collaboration.
But
Teamwork.
he will really look more of like teaching the kids.
I think for me is 语言.
Follow mechanical kids open.
So independent. 其他语言不是英文 yeah.
So why do you put more language on there?
And then the challenge. She's 5 years old. She's like,
I also,
I love it. Like I'm very.
that's so funny, we got all the emotional and stuff.
Maybe keeping that, but we hope they'll be adults, right? Keeping that.
Oh,
Curiosity. I want to make sure I'm not missing it. What's the kind of the key word there? Independence?
Independence, but
习惯 yeah, set skills.
Is that like a revolving confidence?
Why is study skills emotional?
Well, these are all skills.
The one that I would.
These are not academic. Like these are not like subject areas.
I just wasn't sure what color is what. 他分的是，反正这边是就是您知道就好了，那就没有可以了，没关系。因为我想要确认家长们都了解是什么在想。
But we only have one 就是 curriculum. 就是课程，没有的课程。Skills, but I know. So no one said math, no one said science, no one said, yeah.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
That's interesting. 很好奇 right? Like, 就是人的
rigor.
Rigor.
Rigor. Says the woman who never
Say that. Adults, they could use some help there, right?
What is
Self-included.
I'm guilty.
Yeah, 中文。
Sorry, maybe you guys can join them sometime, right? I'll let you know when we have time management seminar, right?
Yeah, 建厂的。我的5岁的小孩子知道，有时候太容易，然后他说哦，我想要更难的，更难的。5岁的。
My oldest one is 13.
Organization.
So I think rigor is different than what you're
Okay,
I'm just saying academic
another minute,
stuff,
everyone,
like
about one more minute,
subject
one more minute, to finish your thinking.
Oh, that's not rigor.
Oh no, that's not rigor.
What they said.
What they said.
What
It's
did they
not
say?
rigor. It's like mental strength, where they're unafraid of failure. So what you're saying is something even more that you can put down.
So what is their word?
Their word is rigor.
My daughter.
My notice is a different word.
I think yours is
They
more
want
like wanting to know more challenging stuff.
Well, no, I was just saying that should clarify. I didn't say I wanted. That's not important.
他刚才说的跟我刚才说的有一点不一样。那所以我就说，
我就是说我就是说我的5岁的小孩子知道 rigor, like she knows the difference.
I mean, as a
All right, so if you're still thinking, please continue for just a moment. We're going to collect some thoughts, but feel free to continue adding.
Patience, dedication, practice, I love it.
Do you notice any common themes coming out? Do you notice any kind of big ideas or consistency between thinking? We have quite a diverse range of students. We have a diverse range of backgrounds. Do you notice any common themes? What are some words that came up again and again for you at your groups, or that you agreed upon? Time management, okay.
I'm going to do my best to take very quick notes, so feel free to fire away.
Okay, time management. Anything else?
在它里面所最常出现的字是什么？他们说是时间上的管理。那我们这边有重复的字是什么呢？有什么重复的
You guys feel free to shout out anything.
Oh, I'm going to keep shouting at you then. We have organization.
Okay, organization.
Emotional intelligence.
EQ.
Problem solving or critical thinking.
Okay. That's okay. There's no wrong answer. Yeah, there's no wrong answer here. I hear people just think, oh, is this right? Should we do this? And this is the point of this activity, is that this is brainstorming. This is no wrong answer here. Okay, so we had organization, critical thinking, problem solving. From this group, something you feel strongly?
Mental strength.
Okay.
A lot of it has to do with mental strength.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Good job.
我从来没听过那个，非常好。
Mental strength. Okay. Now, mental strength. Can we expand on that just a moment? This might be interesting for a cultural perspective as well. Mental strength. What do you mean? Can we go a little
所说的那个意志是可以再多说一点关于那方面的吗？
刚才我们说的就挺多这些方面的哈，比如说就是说，刚才是建不拔呀，还有就是与人合作呀，不怕失败啊，领导力啊，还有就是等于就是说，主要这方面就是也不是精神方面的东西啊，更多一些。
So all the different things has something to do with how they handle different things.
Okay.
So either leadership, being rigorous, discipline, not afraid of failing, responsibility, collaboration, teamwork. All these are something to do with their mental strength, how they approach things.
And maybe resilience in there? Kind of
Like it's a kind of attitude, she said.
Okay, so more of an approach than an actual skill. Disposition. Okay. Mental strength, great. I heard the word. There's no wrong answer. Come on, no.
I haven't done this whiteboard thing in a while. It looked like a mountain.
Yes, collaboration. There was what else I heard? The rigor aspect. That came up. I noticed that comes up quite often, especially at Fairmont. Anything else? Any other words that you haven't listed or that you feel strongly about?
They also have discipline. I can't read that upside down. Can you read it?
Compassion.
Discipline, passion.
Compassion.
Compassion.
Passion's a good one.
I would throw in passion. Potentially, I would throw in passion.
Yeah.
If I could.
That was something we talked about, was maintaining that passion from when they're very young. They get excited. So how do we keep that as they're older?
You might have heard the phrase lifelong learner.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's kind of been a buzzword the last 3, 4, 5 years.
But what I realized from our group was interesting is that we had no academic subject areas. And I was even asking, and then when we said, subject areas, we came up with art and sports and foreign language. So we didn't, there's no science, history, math, nothing, English.
Can we just take a minute to point that out?
Yeah, I had to point that out. I'm sorry. That's not typical Fairmont right there. Something's wrong with our picture here.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that this came out? Why did those themes come out?
他问为什么没有那个课程？
We didn't
我们没有为什么？
math and history.
So no real academic focus here either. Interesting.
Because you really don't apply that. You're out in the real world.
Sorry.
Wait.
She has a good point.
Sometimes math is
She has a good point.
the main
Okay.
subjects are math.
We're gonna come back to that statement. I'm gonna come back to that.
Unless you're like a historian or like an archaeologist.
He said, why do you think we have no academics? And she said, well, you don't use that in daily life.
Okay, maybe we take that and use common sense for this then?
She had a good point right here.
Okay, please.
用中文，and then she'll
就是现在小朋友的心理问题很多，所以我觉得心理建设就是这种坚强这种非常重要。So that's why we don't think their academic is really important. I think their 心理学怎么说
Their emotions, their, yeah.
So basically, there's a lot of most of the kids right now are having a lot of social, emotional issues of encountering things that make a difference in their life, and so they feel that that's the most important thing, just making sure their well-being.
Yeah, well-being, and that's a good catch for that idea. And and that's an important aspect. It's not that we don't value the academics, but we kind of take that as a given. When we go to school, we assume that academics is what you do. And I think for us, especially with the focus on the International Baccalaureate, is they know that the rigor is very high. They expect it to be top-notch academically. But at the same time, they realize the value and they uphold the value of this whole other component, which, as we know, you can have all the book smarts in the world if you want, but if you can't communicate effectively or you can't listen effectively, it's worthless. So that's where the power of the IB comes in. If we look at this list of skills or dispositions, very little relates to academia. And in order to be successful with everything else, we have to build what we see here so that we can apply that academia knowledge or skills.
Which is a great transition into the second workshop, where we'll be talking a little bit about what it means for our kids to be future ready. And what are they learning in the classroom, and how much of that is applicable when they go out into the real world. If our kids can't go out, can't leave our school with common sense and the ability to make a good decision, it doesn't matter how much math you know. If you can't make a good choice without your mom, there's not a whole lot going there. Right? So we're going to save this list.
Just don't put it in your pocket.
So we're going to save this list, and as we go through this workshop, we're all going to agree that this is what, as a group, we deem to be the most important things for our children. And so just kind of take that, and we're going to put it off to the side. This is what we all, as a group, believe to be important. So next I'm going to give you each a little set of word chips, and I'd like you just to read them, play with them, start to experiment with them, talk about what they mean to you.
现在所要做的呢是上面这些字，
然后
这些字对你来说是什么样的
意思？ Down here, I know that you've been through this before.
对。
You put the newbies on the spot here.
Need what?
Oh, no.
Sorry, I
Just you
was
can
totally.
keep the videos, yeah. These you can just spread out and
Then 是要翻一下 OK.
There's way too many different things going on to translate.
It's a busy time.
I'm like hearing this translating.
Which about them playing.
And again, are we ordering or are we?
对，是好的。这个是愿意吃的承担。感激不尽。这个平衡感，就所有东西都是很平衡的这样子。
We're getting there.
Why do you gotta put me on the spot? We get invite more.
Good practice. You want There we go.
观音其他的 You're not right? All right. Go, Catherine.
You were a risk taker, yeah? Now you play with
I can't read academic. That's awesome. Now we have a translator.
I know, right? Yeah. We could write
Oh, yeah, what's up? Oh, I'm just typing on there.
Open mic 是
No, serious.
So as you're discussing, the next task for you is to try to rate those.
Yeah, 开放。
Okay, take a photo. Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay. This is really awesome.
知识上有知识的。
This one's very
He writes in Chinese.
Another translator.
I knew she spoke it. I didn't know she wrote it.
有规则。
就是yeah. No, 就是知道 like right and wrong.
What have you done?
Are you like reading over here or no? Your wife was on the video.
就是对，还有like way
That's a good picture.
Going here. So it's
like moral.
规则。有自己的规则是有点像自律，有点像
Refill over there?
就是像你刚刚所说的那个
好奇，这个有好奇。
Play with your gum. Just you and your thoughts.
Sorry, it's so cool. Risk takers.
Nobody does.
冒险是
在自己拍。
Okay, another 30 seconds.
Very great.
About 30 seconds to finish your thinking.
Okay, sorry. Now that we've translated, what are we supposed to do? Just translate?
Just exploring. So consider what you see here, the ideas here.
You can rank order them.
Rank order them. Okay. 我们要以最重要的就不太重要。Okay. Ready. All right. 最重要的是什么？
Feel free to
不
disagree.
觉得说这两个比 communication 还要重要吗？因为如果要有思想，然后肯愿意去，然后才能去跟人家讲这个东西。有规则很重要，所以是比很重要的。
certain ways, but yeah. Here? I mean, they go together.
但是这两个还 like same.
It's always different. It's always different.
Because it applies to different.
I think it might be different.
这两个重要吗？大家都决定。我也是这样觉得。
这个是我的。
The arrangement. Everybody think laterally. Is there a different way you can organize? Is there a different way you can value? Or a different way you can...
But I think because 我是美国学， yeah, I like a little bit different. Like,
他愿意去讲人家的这样子，而不是说讲开
Okay, so if you can hear my voice, touch your ears. If you can hear my voice, touch your mouth. If you can hear my voice, put your hand on my head. Sorry, I don't know Chinese. If you can hear my voice, touch your ears.
I think if you're...
And this is a great way, instead of just saying stop talking or be quiet. Kids like to play the games, right? Touch your nose. You can try to help. If you tied your shoes, touch your nose. Something like that. Now, I'm actually looking around, and we have some consistency between groups, but we also, I think we've been at this for almost 4 minutes. It keeps changing. It keeps moving. There's no set idea that is correct or right, and the more you think about it, the more you think it changes. Could be tomorrow you would look at it differently, and that's really valuable here. And also I want to give a big thanks to our multicultural group over on this side. We have now a Chinese translation for all of these words, which is
not necessarily the perfect translation, it's just the idea.
way better than I can assure you. But it's great. Yeah, and our Spanish group is working on the they were so go. But so Becky was saying that we wanted to kind of rank order this. I noticed this group has open-minded, as does this group at the top. However, this group, depending on which way you look at it, has principled at the top. This group has balanced at the bottom, risk-taker, and
We have balance at the top.
reflect. So between the different groups, it's widely varied. And I heard the comments from this side is that it depends on your family. It depends on your values. It depends on your beliefs, which is also very important for us as we integrate more into this program. School and home life and beliefs and values are not separate. You come to school with the same beliefs, the same values, the same culture you go home with. And it's really powerful, this program, because we want that to come in. We want to know about your family. We want to know about your culture. We want to know about your beliefs. And we want to have that dialogue because you can see the value in this small discussion. Imagine a group of 5-year-olds or a group of 15-year-olds having this same discussion. How much culture can come out? How much of perspective? All of these different elements, all of these words here. You can imagine how that would attach to the personal, how that would attach to your learning, to your school environment, to global influence. So these, does anybody have a guess about where these words have come from? Because they're all the same. And if you look around, you might notice somewhere.
That's what our kids are learning in classroom, right?
Hey, there we go. Who's had one of their children come home and use any of these words? Have you heard any of these words at home? Principle.
They're a little bit higher.
Risk takers. So we have the learner profile. You'll see this, if I may, American flag touch you. Learner profile is the core. It's literally the core of what the IB is. It's at the center.
Sharing is caring.
This is right.
Everything.
It's at the center. Okay, you guys caring right there? Got it. And as we see it at the front, the mission statement for the IB is derived from these learner profile, what we call attributes, right? These are not right or wrong. These are not yes or no. These are not definitive. These are ways of thinking, ways of approaching ideas, ways of interacting with the world. And the mission statement, if you take a look just a moment, you might get a sense of why these words are what they are. I'm sorry, this is not in Chinese. You see a lot of the words coming out from the mission.
This is a great opportunity to, as we were kind of comparing the mission statement of GIB to our wish list from the beginning, is there anything that you notice from the mission statement that checks off one of those boxes in our brainstorming list? I'll make my Vanna over there check them off for us.
Compassionate.
Compassionate. That was, I know we talked about compassion and empathy at the very beginning, recognizing that you can make a difference in our world was really important in IB.
Yeah, knowledgeable, maybe something here, maybe here.
Well, and all the emotional intelligence. Can also understand that other people can also be right.
Yeah, that's a really powerful statement. Really powerful. Social skills.
When we did this activity with our staff, our list was almost identical to your list. And what we as a school wanted to make sure we were fostering in the students that you give to us every day is exactly the same. You know, we know that they're coming to us and they'll leave with high-level math and high-level English, and they'll be very, very smart when they leave, but we want to make sure that they're well-rounded, that They have the social skills and the self-management, the research skills, the thinking skills to go out and be productive, helpful contributors. We need them to go out and be okay. And it's really the biggest part of IB for us came in now.
Any further comments or questions? Anything you want to share before?
So we are going to fast forward through a couple of slides here, and if there's anything that we touch on that you'd like to have a longer conversation about, please let us know. But we always struggle to put this into an hour time slot. But this is a quick overview of the IB and the history of the IB. We'll see pictures of anything. The IB was originally founded in Geneva, Switzerland in 1968. It's a globally recognized program that's really the gold standard of education globally. We are very excited to be bringing that to Fairmont. We've been running, as Carissa said, the DP program for grades 11 and 12 at the high school for
25 years.
25? I was going to say 24. For 25 years. Look the calendar over. And we're very excited to be bringing the primary years program, age 3 through grade 5, and the middle years program, grade 6 through grade 10 to this campus. Which is very wonderful. Now we've all agreed, these are for my parents in the room, you come and we all agree that everything on our brainstorming sheet is important, but at the end of the day we really want our kids to go out to go to college and to be successful, and we would be negligent to not talk a little bit about how powerful an IB education is in the realm of colleges. And so you're welcome to take pictures of any of these slides, but I love that you hit passion and lifelong learner. When your kids go and apply to a college, it's different than when we applied to college. When we were applying for schools, you have a strong GPA, you play a sport, and you were in a club. That's pretty much all you needed. It's so different. For our kids that are graduating, for your kids that are graduating, they are all going to look highly qualified on paper, especially coming from an academically rigorous private school. They have strong GPAs, they play sports, they participate in clubs and activities. What the differentiator will be is their passion. Can they go into the interview and really talk about something that they love to do? And that's really what we're fostering in IB.
Yeah.
Oh, can we just talk about this one also is my favorite. A reasonable grasp of math. So maybe this comes from Harvard.
This is the important again. This values, right?
This is what the Harvard admissions officer is looking for. We as parents are guilty sometimes of pushing our kids really hard, especially when they're young. We have 7th graders over here that are in Algebra 2 and ready to take pre-calculus. By the time they get to high school, they're taking math that I've never heard of. A reasonable grasp of math is all you need. It's so much more important to be passionate, to care, to be creative, to have social skills. Colleges are looking for students who will be a contributor to their school.
Yeah.
If you sit in your room all day and you do math, you're not adding much to their campus. And so it's really important that you come with your own ideas and creative thoughts.
And that's part of, I just want to tag on to what Becky was saying, is that the idea of that's what they're aiming for. The IB is not just this curriculum that you go and you learn a lot of stuff through. The purpose, again, coming back to the mission is that you're building yourself to be a contributor to making a better world. That's what the mission of the IB is. And also with Fairmont, our mission here is to create a better world through education. That's almost word for word verbatim, even before we knew the IB was on board, that was the mission of Fairmont. So the link there is direct, and I'm so happy to see that.
I'll let you take a picture of this if you'd like, but these are some college admission statistics to think about. When your children are applying to colleges, having an IB certificate is incredibly helpful when you're trying to differentiate your 4.0 from someone else's 4.0 or 5.0, honestly. And so the IB comes with this certain feeling that your child is a thinker, they're a contributor, they know which questions to ask is really the mark of an IB student.
we have a lot of kindergarten, young families in here. When your kids are really young, that looks like, you know, that looks like what's happening in your house, what is happening in your house, What about this? What about this? What about this? Can I play with this? I have a kindergartner and they're working on this little seed investigation. I was telling Cody, we went to Costco and we got one of those big like flats of apples, and probably 2 hours after we get home, my kindergartner had dissected all of the apples in my kitchen, taken all the seeds out, and planted them in my flower bed. So we were forced to eat like 14 pounds of apples. It's like, I baby.
We went to a community event and we performed there, and we were taking them around all the booths for free and stuff. My daughter goes straight to, let's create a plant, let's go plant, and then like we're trying to get her to do like face paint. She's like, no, I want to make a plant.
Yeah. And when you're really, that's when, as a school, as frustrating as it is as a parent to lose my $30 investment in apples, I know that the school is doing something really, really right. When the kids can take what they're learning and come home and apply it in a new situation without anybody giving him any help, he went and did something on his own. And for me, that's a home run. You know, when your kids come home and take action, there's nothing else I need to do.
So we have here some beautiful graphics. The IB is always very good at producing things to look at. And most always they have meaning, and very deep meaning. And you can see here, these are the logos, if you will, for the different programs. And as Becky mentioned, our upcoming sessions, part 2, phase 2, will focus on the difference between and dive deeper into the primary years. This would be our kindergarten, preschool through grade 5, and then this would be 6 through 10, depending on which campus. We go through 8, and then leading into the prep academies would be the 9 and 10. So you can see there's, again, at the center, the words that you have on your table. Always at the center of what we do is the learner profile, those attributes, the way we learn, the way we think. And then as we go out, the PYP, the primary years program, is a bit more specific and differentiated into, as you can see, subjects. Just by the nature of early learning, we have that differentiation a little bit further. And I want to point out as well, these rings are concentric, and the closer to the learner profile we have, concepts, attitudes, approaches to learning, and then these are, there's a lot of vocabulary that comes with the IB. As an IB parent, you will be exposed to lots of different words, for example, approaches to learning. That makes sense in our brain, but when you get into the approach, there are, I think, almost 20, more than 20, I don't know the exact number, I probably should, but almost 20 approaches to learning, the way we can think. So those are the skills. And then we go into concepts, and then we go into attitudes. So they have all of these elements, basically thinking about anything you could think about, any way you could learn, anything that we feel is important to convey to a student is encapsulated here. So you have, again, here, this isn't math, this isn't social studies, this is that EQ, social. How do we function? How do we behave? And you can see the same here in the middle years. You've got those same elements that are the core. And then as we move further out, you've got your language, your subjects, and you'll notice the difference isn't too far off, but as we get into middle years, you start to apply a bit more. You start to go a little bit deeper, a little bit more theoretical, a little bit more philosophical, if you will. Becky's the expert on the MYP. We're kind of trading knowledge this year. She's much more versed in that, but I know for a fact that the middle years is directly linked to the primary years. Everything they do has a building block and is sequential and is purposeful. I always tell the story about, I used to teach kindergarten, and then I taught grade 2, and then I taught grade 4, and then I taught grade 2, and then I taught grade 5. And so I've been all across the board. And the defining moment for me was in my second to last year of teaching. I was teaching grade 2 at the time, and I had the good fortune of being able to go and visit other classrooms. And I went to a grade 5 classroom, and they were working on a math investigation. It was literally just a paragraph word problem on the board. Nothing too fantastic, but the way that it was set up, the teacher wrote the problem on the board, made sure that everybody understood the language, everybody could access what the problem was, and then said go. No instruction, no help, nothing, just said go. And they had been working previously to do, you know, problem solving skills, how do you approach language, and really integrating all of these subjects into a math concept. And as I was sitting back and watching, the students were all together on the floor, and then she said go. They all just filtered out, made their own groups, self-managed. This is grade 5, 10-year-olds, by the way. Self-managed, made their own groups, and got the materials they needed, got organized in their thinking. And as they were filtering in the groups, I walked around, and this group was using one strategy. This group was using a different strategy. And out of the 5 groups, there wasn't a single strategy that was the same. And they had filtered themselves. They had organized themselves according to the way they think. And there was no instruction. There was no you go here, you go here. They did this naturally. And as they were working through, every individual in the group was contributing and saying, oh, I think this, and oh, what if we did this, and one person here. They all, and this was organic, completely organic. And this was in a grade 5 classroom. So then that skill set, being able to organize yourself, to compile all of your thinking and to communicate and collaborate, as we move into middle years, you can think about now that we manage our own schedules, our time management coming up, self-reliance, self-management, all of those skills of being able to think for yourself come into play. And on top of that, all the subject knowledge that we gain in the middle years, you put it into practice. And that's how the IB functions. You learn, you gain the skills, you gain the knowledge, and then you apply it. You take it out, and you'll notice here, the word here, action and service. The word action. Huge element of what we do is not just keeping this knowledge contained. Taking it, applying it, putting it into practice with service, helping your neighbor, doing tutoring, whatever it might be.
I think for me, in traditional education, and I taught in the classroom as an 8th grade teacher for many years, and I was guilty of this. We would take the text, if we could, unzip them and start dumping things in, we would. I would have the kids sit down in front of me with their notebooks, and I would open my book, and I thought I was doing the right thing. And I would say, okay, page 16, take your notes. Page 17, take your notes. Flip the page. Page 18, take your notes. We would go through this process. I would give them a test. I would record their scores, and we would move on. And in traditional education, if we could unzip them and dump everything in, we probably would. Here's all the names of the dinosaurs. Here's all of the elements on the periodic table. Here are all of the theorems in math. Here, everything about the presidents, the states, the capitals. We would just start dumping all of these facts inside them. We would zip them up. We would send them off to college. They would graduate. Here's your diploma. Go make a difference. And for a high schooler who has recently graduated from a top private school, they've spent the last 18, 19 years hearing us tell them how lucky they are to be here, how wonderful their families are, how much we expect them to go out and change the world. That's a really difficult task to fulfill. You know that you've been given opportunity, and you know that you have all of this information, but you don't know what to do with it. In the IB, like Cody said, this piece of action and agency is so important, and we really take that traditional model of education and turn it upside down. Or in the primary years, the most important thing we can teach a child is that your voice matters. That if you understand the world, you can change the world. Where our kindergartners are outside playing with seeds, they're learning about the parts of a seed, the parts of a plant, everything from their traditional textbook. But they're also studying, what is our responsibility to take care of living things. They're outside, they're planting their own seeds, they're taking care of their garden, and then there's a patch of their garden that they leave untended. They don't weed it, they don't water it, they don't take care of it. And we ask them what they notice, when we take care of something versus when we don't. And the kids come up with these really great answers about what their responsibility is to care for living things. We translate that into a discussion in the classroom about taking care of yourself, going to bed on time, brushing your teeth, all of these kindergarten things that we all fight with our children with every day. And the kids are starting to make these really rich connections. It's understanding that you can make a difference. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is, a conversation with someone, helping a neighbor, being kind, all of those things can change the world. When they move into middle school, our discussions shift really, and as Cody said, into this intellectual level. We're really talking a lot about ethics and the connections between disciplines. There is no problem on earth that can be solved with one discipline. Think of a problem,
There is nothing that math alone can solve. There is nothing that science alone can solve. All of the problems that our children face are transdisciplinary. It's really getting our kids to understand, if you want to solve this issue of microplastics in the ocean, how are you going to raise awareness? You have to have a campaign manager. You're going to need some marketing material. You have to have the science behind it. You have to know your math. You have to find that little biologist over there that you went to school with. And you have to be able to manage this group of people. You have to collaborate with them. You have to communicate across different cultures and different languages. The world that our kids are growing up into is so interconnected, where traditional education just isn't enough. They have to understand all of those rich things about action and agency and working together. So that's probably the shortest bit of that I've ever done. We can go on and on and on. In the interest of time, this is a video that we traditionally would show you about what IB looks like in a classroom. And we'd be happy to email this out to you so that you can look at it later. It's wonderful. And then teacher training, we're gonna like fast forward, super fast forward here.
We're all very intellectual, and we keep getting more and more intellectual.
We're super smart, we're getting smarter, IB's great.
IB requires every teacher to be trained every 2 years. That's a requirement, hands down. So we can't avoid it even if we would like to.
And the IB trainings are phenomenal. I've been going to teacher PD for a long time, and hands down, the IB workshops and the IB teacher training is by far the best teacher training I have ever been to in my life. You know, it's inspiring, it's knowledgeable, it's thoughtful. You make great
are liking the tradition as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like this better than the traditional.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit of work. And it's a
Takes
shift.
a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work. But the teachers see how engaged the kids are, and as a teacher, you'll work endlessly when you know that your kids are excited about what you're doing. And it's really this self-fulfilling, kind of process.
It's funny too that, we always focus on students being excited for learning, but the teachers, and part of the joy of what we're doing is this is new knowledge. This is a new way of thinking. And teachers, some more readily than others, but everybody is slowly getting into it, and they're realizing, oh boy, this is really effective, this is really powerful. And the more, once you start to see the power in the classroom, I've already had teachers, oh, can you come and help me with this, can you do this, and they're sharing, and it's opening new ways of thinking, and it's really driving a whole new approach and a collaborative spirit among our team as well, which is thrilling. As an adult, you can imagine what you're passionate about. If you do that every day, how much more you could benefit and the team benefits. So.
And that's where you can help us as parents, and just giving, some kudos to the teachers. And if you see your children, cutting apart your apples in your house, and you recognize that this is a parallel to what's happening in the classroom, let us know.
Yeah.
There's no better compliment for a teacher than knowing they've been effective.
Yeah.
Really. This is my favorite activity that we don't get to do. We will save it for next time.
You guys are a real chatty group.
I love the conversation. It was totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
We would have gone through this is a kindergarten activity where we let the kids play with these math tiles, and it transitions into conceptual understanding of fractions. We talked a little bit about, the importance of collaboration and understanding, where the teacher is, especially in the IB, the teacher is not the only one who can give information. And when we allow children to work in groups and to collaborate and to build an understanding of a concept together, there are all these other organic things that happen. Just in your discussions here, we had a lot of rich collaboration that had nothing to do with the task at hand. Oh, I speak Spanish, let's do this, let me Google it. What did you have for breakfast this morning? And when our kids have those conversations in a classroom, in a structured way, it translates everywhere on campus. We have two little kindergartners who maybe have never played together at recess. They're in a group together. One is impressed by the other way the other one, made a flower with their math tiles. They say, hey, that was cool today. Do you want to play tag with me outside? And then there's a new friendship that forms just like that. And so the collaboration and the social skills that are fostered intentionally by the teacher translate everywhere on campus. It's really wonderful. This is probably where we'll stop for the day. This has not a lot to do with the IB. It's really just cute. But it's a reminder to us as parents that our kids are filled with questions. And if we take the time to ask them and to honor their questions, we can really connect them to the curriculum in a way that engages their curiosity and their creativity. For me, there was this, like, you talk about your defining moment of transitioning to IB. I was so guilty as a parent. You know, you work all day, you're busy, you have to go home and grocery shop and make lunches and do laundry. And you just wanted that car ride home to be quiet. And so I'd get in the car and I would pull out an iPad and I would cruise down the carpool lane and it was silent and my kids would totally zone out. And you know, a couple of years ago in learning about IB and really helping me recognize the importance of building curiosity, if you don't nurture their curiosity, you will lose it. You know, it's not like math, it's not like science, it doesn't build over time. You're born with it when you're little, and if you don't protect it, you don't have it, it doesn't come back to you. And there was this moment with my then first grader. I'm like, thinking I'm this great teacher. I'm like, oh, what are you curious about? What are you wondering? He's like, nothing. I was like, oh God. I had this like moment of pure panic as a parent. I was like, the iPad is gone. We are going outside. We are going to play. And you know, from that, I started walking around campus and just kind of talking with our kids. And so this first one, I went out to the playground last year, and all of our kids, there were 4 or 5 kindergartners, now first graders, who were standing in a circle with their heads just like pointed at the ground. They're huddled around each other. I said, what are you doing, guys? And they said, how come when we bend over, our eyes don't fall out? They had just been learning about systems of the body in class and muscle structure, and Kevin was one of them. And then these like bratty little third graders come down the stairs, and they were like, it's because you have muscles. It was really, they were like, oh, great. It was really cute. Our 5th graders do this wonderful government unit when they get into grade 5. They actually just started it yesterday or a couple of days ago, where they learn about and compare all of these different systems of government around the world. Democracy, communism, theology, anarchy. And the lesson starts with the kids voting on which they think is the most effective system of government. And every day they re-vote based on what they've learned that day. And we get to document and watch their thinking change over time. Parallel to that, they're creating their own ideal government. And so there are a lot of really rich conversations that are happening. One day I was out at recess, not in a classroom, they should have been playing basketball, and they're sitting around trading snacks, talking about why governments, you know, spend so much money on themselves instead of helping people in need. These are 5th graders, these are 10-year-olds at recess, like, stop the presses, that doesn't happen anywhere else. So it was very encouraging to see.
And yeah, I think that's an important point, that also a really integral component of the International Baccalaureate, the IB, is that global mindedness. And I think that's something that, you know, having been outside of the US for a long time, I can see that's a really big need for us as a culture and as people. We tend to be very close-minded, and what the IB does is it forces you to value your own thoughts, value your own culture, but also what does the other person think? What do they think? What does it mean to be here or there across the board? And that's, you know, interesting conversation. But
and they were so articulate and compassionate and open-minded about this conversation that they were having, and they were really trying to see from the perspective of like the autocrat why they would want to keep the money. 2nd graders out at flag salute staring at our beautiful fig tree, how come that sucker never stops growing? And then the little girl next to them, you know, wants to know why her eyelashes did stop but the hair didn't. And there's some really just thoughtful questions coming out of grade 2. 3rd graders, I have no idea what I can't remember what they were doing in this conversation, but they were really worked up and wanted to know, you know, why you have certain reactions to different situations. You know, why do we scream when we're scared? Why do we cry when we're sad? They had just gone through an IB unit of inquiry about how we express ourselves and learned about all of these different cultural expressions, and they had turned the conversation inward and wanted to know, you know, sort of the science behind emotions. It was really like, it's a 3rd grade conversation. You know? Most 3rd graders are worried about, I don't know, lunch. Mine's learning about how to tie his shoes. And I think because we're over time, this is where we will leave you today.
You know, and between Cody and I, we can't thank you enough for, this is probably one of my favorite workshops that we've done.
Yeah,
We didn't go as fast as we usually do, it was totally worth it. I love that we had 2 languages in here, and I really appreciate you.
Spanish.
3
Spanish.
trilingual workshop in the
Did
book.
you come from Google?
It's okay, we will assess it after you leave.
We get graded out great.
But you know, what we want to encourage you to do is when you go home, as Becky mentioned, have those conversations, but also just be aware and listen a little bit more attentively. We all have that kind of noise in the back of our head. The kids, oh hey, mom and dad, do you think this? And you, We're all guilty of it, and myself included. But one thing I learned really powerfully from a training that I went on about assessment was that oftentimes the questions that we ask show more about what we know and don't know than the things that we say. So the questions that you're receiving are extremely revealing and really powerful. So take hold of maybe 1 or 2 of those a day and really ask a question back. Don't give an answer. Put it back with a question and take that with you. And if you have questions about what you've learned today, feedback to us. Come back. Don't just walk out wondering. Find the answer. Investigate. Take hold.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to having many more of these. If you have any feedback for us, we'd really appreciate it. Every time we do one of these workshops, we grow a little bit more. And if you have feedback from this one specifically, we'd love to hear it. If not, we invite you to, please take some pastries. Don't leave them all with us. We don't need them anymore.
Leave them here.
You can leave everything on the tables. Fill up your coffee. Thank you so much. And we'll come around and try to.
Thank you for our translator.